It's going.
Oh, yeah, nah, pretty good.
Thinking we should chuck a podcast. What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, nah, I can. Come round, let's do a thing.
G'day everyone, how you going? Welcome to round 3. I thought I'd start calling them rounds.
Round? Oh, I like that.
Well, it's
Okay.
like, all right, we're back on round 3.
Yeah.
How much better is that? All right, so here we are, round 3, and today's episode is, first of all, let's not get into it. First of all, g'day, how are you going?
I'm doing fantastic. I did a post on the What Do You Reckon Instagram just before about both the Storm and finally the Cowboys got up over the weekend.
I know, how good.
Yeah.
And sorry mate, but I actually tipped them to lose.
Yeah, well, I can't blame you. But
it's good. It's like a win-loss situation when you want a team to win, but you back the other team.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, either way.
Well, the thing is, as soon as I gave up interest in their season, they got a win. And a cliffhanger win at that.
Yeah, I know, it was such a good game.
Yeah. So really, actually, the only person who lost out was you because the bet didn't pan out. So sorry about that, mate.
No, it's all good.
The boys rallied.
Yeah, fully. But yeah, we had another week. We've had some time apart this week. So guess what? I finally got some stats for you.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they're not like huge at all, so don't get excited.
Yeah.
Like, we still got to go to work.
We're not making a Spotify deal.
No. But well, the deal is we can do this, and they'll let us still put it on.
Oh, cool.
So that's all good.
They'll let us still pay to host it.
Yeah. So there's not really much. I think we cracked 100 plays, which is fantastic.
Sick.
Actually, it was a bit over 100, and we haven't outgone Australia and United States yet.
Oh, okay.
So we've cracked the two.
Yep.
Them two. So it was pretty easy to crack Australia.
Yeah.
I think I listened to it as soon as we were finished, and that was it. Australia done. And then, but yeah, when I saw that it was quite a few from America, I was like, okay, so that's, I don't know. I've only got a few friends in America. You have quite a few friends?
I've got a handful, but I don't know if any of them are even aware that we're doing this because I have a new Instagram page.
Right.
Remember, I deleted it early in the year and I didn't have social media for about 6.
Yes.
Oh, not quite 6 months, but so yeah, I'm not too aware of that. But regardless, everybody that's listened, thank you very much.
Cheers.
That's rad.
That's why we're
very
back.
Stoked.
We're back. We weren't going to come back, but then I saw some stats, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I should probably go back. But all right. So today we've thought of some topics. I asked you this week. Write down a bunch of lists of topics that we can do for podcast rounds, and you just delivered some fire. And I asked for some episodes or some topics, and you just sent me back some fire.
Didn't come here to fuck spiders.
Nah, that's it, mate. You're fucking the cat. I'm just holding its tail. So
Remember the first time I told you that? I think you laughed for a solid 20 minutes, eh?
It was
And
such a good.
Karen and Ryan were just horrified.
But I got the analogy straight away. That's such a good one.
It's more ways to skin a cat than sucking its head out through its ass.
Yeah, I think you got to work around job sites to get them straight away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just don't make sense.
How's that job going over there, mate? Oh, I'm crowded up in here like a dog rooting a cricket ball.
Oh, so good. Anyway, all right. So yeah, some episodes that you've discussed, and one was work-life and balance.
Yeah, work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
Yeah.
No, work-life and how you balance at work. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, right.
2 feet, stand
How
up.
do you balance?
Yeah, arms out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great one because this is something that I have had to actually start doing specifically. Specifically.
Yeah. Pacifically.
Pacific. So, and when it comes to work and life balance, say it again.
Just work-life balance.
Work-life
mate.
balance,
Work/life.
Okay.
Balance.
All right. And to me, it comes down to prioritizing and scheduling.
Yes,
Which I
absolutely.
guess is somewhat sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're scheduling, you're prioritizing when you're scheduling, technically. So this is something that I've had to do because I do work 2 jobs, and I find myself getting so drained all the time that when it comes to when I want to actually do things that make me like I enjoy doing, like whether it be catching up with friends or just hanging out in this room and being creative, I actually have to take the time to pencil in these things.
Yes. Yep.
Otherwise, it just gets out of hand. And one of the things I have started doing this year was the importance of staying happy throughout all this process was scheduling in sleep. because if you want to fit so much into one day,
Yes.
you end up being tired and unhappy, and then you're like, what? I just want to keep doing shit, but sleep is also important.
Sleep is the most important.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I harp on about people all the time now, because you know that I'm studying holistic health and integrated movement science, and so the importance of your recovery time cannot be overstated.
Yeah.
You know, the studies that have gone into, like, even if you're looking at it from the point of view of a fitness regime, that your strength, endurance, your cardiovascular ability will all improve greatly when you have the correct recovery time in between workouts. Whereas if you're just working out, your cortisol levels go through the roof, your body has a fight or flight response, and you're just at high stress level all the time, and shit starts shutting down on you.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same for your work and life balance.
Yep.
So, you know, you hear about these famous people that, like The Rock and Kevin Hart, for instance, they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but they're making that at the sacrifice of true health.
Yeah.
And I know Kevin Hart started talking about it recently. Like, it wasn't until he broke his back and was forced to take time off that he actually started to understand these things, because they're the type of people that are just go all the time. It's like this assignment, that meeting, this project,
Yeah.
you know, making money left, right, and center, which is awesome, but then sleeping 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself doing that.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. And a great quote that I heard this week that I think really sums it up perfectly, especially for the balance of your lifestyle and your career, is if you don't make time for your health, then you'll be forced. So, no, I'm getting it wrong. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to take time for your illness.
That's
Right?
100% true. And
Yeah.
like I have,
Because you experienced
I
this
did
earlier
experience
this year.
it, and what it was for me is just trying to fit too much into my 24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and purely like I don't know if I mentioned it in the first episode, I might have, but when it came to me was at the start of the year when we did that bushfires t-shirt thing. Yeah, we did speak about it, and I was just doing way too much. I was trying to be interactive with social media. I was trying to do all this job. I was also working night shift as well, and then I realized I was cutting out all my sleep, and I was just so unhappy. But when it came time to, like, to Neil saying, "Oh, we're catching up with so and so this weekend," I'd just be like, "I don't want to go. Like, I'm wrecked."
Yeah.
And that's when I just had like a breakdown, because to get me through all this stuff, the idea for me for what fuel was just coffee, and I was just having up to like, how was it, like 4 triple shots a day,
Wow.
which is just a tremendous amount of caffeine. But
That'll give you adrenal fatigue.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, no matter how much coffee I was doing, I was just shutting down.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just like I knew something had to change. So then I was like, okay, I'm not even sleeping properly anymore. Like, so like I'm sleeping like 3 hours a night or a period of day, and they were broken up into just 1 hour intervals as well.
Wow.
I know, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But that had a knock-on effect with work, like just not being able to do my job properly. But then also when it came to my lifestyle, I was just not being creative. Didn't want to go see anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, clearly this is just the knock-on effect from just trying to do too much.
Mm.
So it came back to that whole scheduling system where I schedule in literally everything, whether it be work or lifestyle or sleep.
Yeah.
It all has to be somewhat scheduled now, because if I start falling off the bandwagon again, it has that knock-on effect every single time.
Yeah, and if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember that period, and you know, we all get so wrapped up and self-absorbed in our own lives because we've got things going on, and you and I particularly, we've always got little side projects that we're working on in amongst our, you know, main income earning jobs and seeing family and friends and whatnot. And I remember, like I spoke an episode or two ago about how I became a really bad friend at one stage because of social media. I wasn't like physically catching up with my mates, and so I kept seeing all the stuff that you were doing, and then in, you know, your Instagram stories, I was like, man, he looks tired, like he's getting skinny, there's bags under his eyes, like, and you know, that's it's a difficult situation because you never want to be that person who tells other people how to live their lives.
Yeah.
And particularly with what I'm studying now, I have to be very careful of not coming across preachy all the time. Because I don't want to shut out all my friends if that's the only thing I ever talk about, and I make them feel bad because of the choices that they want to make in their lives.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was my responsibility as your friend to maybe even just give you a phone call and be like, hey, matey, are you feeling okay? Like, is everything good?
But I was honest with you. I was straight up. I was like, nah, I'm wrecked.
Yeah, but it wasn't until after the fact, and it's one of those realizations I had that, and this comes into that work-life balance as well, is that I'm so focused on these other things that life outside of work wasn't working.
Yeah.
Because I'm not fostering those relationships properly. And so when you alienate yourself from your mates and all you've got is work, and especially like particularly with me, like for those who don't know, I'm a coal mine worker. And the coal industry is the total antithesis of what I'm about as a person. Like I am prostituting myself out to that industry to make a good living so that I can live my lifestyle the way I want and also be studying right now to build a business in the future. So I'm very aware that I'm whoring myself out. And because I'm so aware of how toxic that industry is and how invasive and bad it is for the environment, which is all things that I really dislike, I can become very depressed while I'm out there, especially being isolated as well.
Definitely.
If I'm not taking that time for my recovery and for nurturing social relationships, it exacerbates the stress, the isolation, the despair that I feel doing that job. And you see a lot of people are experiencing this, especially now that a lot of people are in quarantine. Previously when meetings used to be such a drag for people, like, oh, this pointless shit that we have to do. And, annoying Jim's going to sit over there and talk about crap nobody cares about. And now these Zoom calls are the favorite part of some people's day because it's just like interaction.
Actually, I remember that when I saw this post about when we're all meant to stay at home here. I mean, I guess people in Melbourne are still doing the same, where they're allowed out for that hour of exercise a day. And they're like, everyone's all of a sudden into fitness and walking. Like, how come people never used to walk around this much? But then it's like, now I understand why dogs are so happy.
Yeah,
yes. Like, they get to finally go out for that hour a day.
Yeah, it's amazing what we're learning that we took for granted out of this pandemic.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is amazing. People, for instance, my sisters had a baby over in Western Australia. I have a nephew now, and I can't remember how long ago that was. July, I think he was born. And so I still haven't seen him. Don't know when I will. And that goes for so many people at the moment. And that's where this work-life balance thing really becomes so important, because if you are still working, you've got to make sure to find alternative ways to make life fulfilling.
Definitely.
And you hear people... There's a lot of social media influencers around at the moment, like that Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. I don't know if that's how you say it.
Wait, Gary V?
Yeah, Gary V. Yeah, it's just like, set fire to your TV and sell your own teeth and make money. Like, it's just sort of very over the top. And they're all very this like, you got to hustle, you got to grind, you got to, yeah. And again, it's, you see people like The Rock and Kevin Hart who are doing that, making huge amounts of money, and you go, oh, that's the lifestyle I want. I want hundreds of millions of dollars and all these things coming my way. And it feeds into the social media thing that we I think is always going to be a common theme of what we talk about, because it's so prevalent in our lives. But you can't sustain life that way.
No, you get worn out. And like back to that whole thing about the whole scheduling is I noticed when I started taking a step back from trying to just do 1,000 things at once, is that taking a step back, realizing what I actually wanted. Like at first I probably thought it was all this millions of dollars and all that crap. I don't. I really don't. Yeah. I'm happy being who I am, but also realizing what you really want and then just chipping away at these things makes you happier, especially when you're taking time off to recover.
Yes.
You become better at your things that you want to do anyway. So even like when it comes to work, I find if I take that time to recover each day or every second day, my work is better. And I feel like I get my productivity is done 2 times to 3 times better if I was to do it if I was tired.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. And that feeds into what I was talking about with fitness as well, is that people probably don't realize, because they think like, oh, I've got to watch my calories and I've got to work and just burn this energy. And they don't realize that it's like, if you take that time off in between working out, give yourself a full day of rest and recovery where you stretch, you can still go for a brisk walk to keep the blood flowing, but, stretch, meditate, get a good 8-hour sleep in, and restful sleep where you're not using something to help you sleep. Like you're not drinking or smoking weed or taking sleeping pills, but getting a good 8 hours of restful, uninhibited sleep.
Yeah.
And then go back and train and see how much your 1 rep max can increase by, like however you choose to train, whatever your sport is, but effective recovery. And that goes for physically, metaphysically, spiritually, mentally. You have to take the time to withdraw, pull back from these things and just experience life in a quiet space, just take physiological load away from yourself for a while so that you can reset and then be the best person you can be.
Well, one thing about like take a step back and just like, I guess somewhat being bored is the thing. Now, being a creative person, and I didn't realize that this is actually a thing, but it is true, is that boredom creates creativity. Because when you're bored, like that's when you start thinking or you start coming up with ideas and there's no distractions.
Yes.
And that's like where you might have to time off social media and things like that. And then it's just, I love that idea. And when I found that out, I was like, this is why I need time off every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because I zone out. And like meditating is a great thing, I think, because
perfect.
Like I don't do it all the time, but I do it when I need to, when I'm just like, I've had enough. I need to stop and zone out for a bit.
Yeah.
And I've learned how to do it now. And I just like, holy shit, when I come out of like having a break, I'm like, I'm ready to create.
Yeah.
I'm inspired from literally nothing.
Yeah. Inspired and invigorated. And it's just literally from taking that time to just go insular, introspect a little bit. And one thing that people can do for that is that it's a very common habit at the moment that if you've got to go for a poo, you take your phone into the toilet with you, which A, is kind of gross. But B, it distracts you from, it's been a well-known fact for a long time that most people do their best thinking when they're sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore because now you just take your device in and you keep watching YouTube or scrolling your social media feed, whatever it might be, texting people.
Well, there's only so many times I can read the back of a toothpaste thing, but that's
But that can be a good practice for some people who need to take a little bit more time off. Is the next time you've got to do a number twosie, leave your phone out. Like walk in there and just have a think about life. Yeah. Enjoy yourself while you're on there. Like
understand what your body's actually doing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, like have a moment to connect with your body. Like even
and get rid of the shit.
Yes, get rid of the shit. Attach all your negative energy to that poo and get it out.
I'm going to do that. Just Tennille's like, what are you doing in there? Nothing.
Clearing my chakras.
Just getting rid of negative energy.
But yeah, I guess on that note, like, we've addressed now that it is a prevalent issue. It's there. Yeah. And people know about it. Like, we're not onto some sort of exclusive, groundbreaking idea here.
We are.
We came up with it. I think strategies to help people with it. There's a couple of small ones. Like, for one, that first one is just taking time away from your digital devices. So whether that's when you go to the bathroom or if you go, all right, 8:30 at night, we just turn this stuff off.
Yeah.
Because, these days you can put Do Not Disturb or airplane mode on your phone.
Yeah.
And people can still get through to you if there's an emergency. You don't have to worry about that. Like, I think they just have to ring you 3 times straight away and it'll work. So strategizing things like that to get away from digital energy and electromagnetic fields for an hour before sleep time, whatever it might be. One thing that Ran and I do is we put up 6 categories on a whiteboard. What is it? It's career, relationships, spirituality, intelligence, physical well-being, and there's one other one. I can't remember what it is. I'll get back to this later.
Yeah.
But basically, you give yourself a score out of 10 in all of those categories. And based on that score, you go, okay, what can I do this week to get that 1 point up by next week?
That's great.
So this is one of those things that relationship-wise, with my family has always been pretty good, but my friendships, I wasn't nurturing those, like I keep mentioning. And so when I went, okay, so I score myself a 5 out of 10 on relationships because I'm unhappy with where my friendships are at. So how do you fix that? All right, once a day, I'm going to connect with one friend.
Yeah.
And that can just be a text message. It's totally up to you how you do that, but you set yourself these goals. Intelligence, if I'm not feeling that intelligent, okay, I'm going to read for 20 minutes a day, something non-fiction. Or I'm going to listen to 20 minutes of a podcast that's not just something trashy. You know?
Something that's insightful.
Yeah, exactly. Make your fitness goals, make your spiritual goals. So, meditate every day for 10 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. So you make yourself these little goals and they should be process-based, not outcome-based. So it's not like, say fitness, I want to lose 10 kilograms.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great long-term goal, but what's the process of getting there? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to track my calories this week, and I'm also going to work out 3 times this week for half an hour. So those are process-based goals then. So you do your first workout for half an hour and you go, oh, great, I did that. You do your second, you do your third, and then you give yourself a reward at the end of the week, which might be a cheat meal. It might be, taking Sunday off to play PlayStation all day, whatever it might be. But you give yourself process-based goals, not outcome-based. So you've got these little mile markers along the way, and then you celebrate those mile markers when you hit them.
Well, these are like natural dopamine hits.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So you're giving yourself these little rewards all the time. So it encourages you to break bad habits and form new ones.
Yeah.
And there's a law of resistance about this, which I can talk about later in another episode where we're specifically talking about fitness or those type goals. But then the big thing is, like you keep talking about, is scheduling, planning. That's massive. There's so many studies that are based on adult humans need 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. So when these people talk about, I get 3-4 hours sleep and I'm super high functioning,
Yeah, they flex on that.
Don't listen to them. They're going to get heart problems and dementia in later life.
Yeah.
Like they're going to fucking fall apart when they're in their 60s. So 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep. Things like alcohol, weed, they actually inhibit your deep REM sleep. So you're not going to get the full recovery restful sleep that you need. So you need to watch out for things like those as well. But scheduling, planning sleep, I think, is the biggest one to start with.
Yeah.
And then realizing how many hours a day that you work and making some kind of physical thing in front of you, where it's a big whiteboard, a sort of vision board that you put in a public place where you can see, okay, those are the hours that I'm working, so that's out. But look at all this space I've got in the morning, I've got in the afternoon, and that 20 minutes is going to be for the kids. That 20 minutes is going to be for me. That 20 minutes is going to do the laundry, And there's heaps of literature out there on this. You can just go on YouTube and, look up life hacking tips and how to schedule your life. And there's a wealth of information that works for different people. But
and plus, not to mention, you get way more shit done in a day. Because you don't realize how much that you actually take up by procrastinating, sitting on a phone. And in the next episode, I want to get into something straight off the bat. We'll come back to this after. Another thing that, speaking about like phones and stuff, with the lifestyle thing, what I do is I like being present with people now. And with that is I have a no phones policy now.
Yes.
When I go out to dinner and shit like that.
I love it.
It's just like, no phones. Just let's interact now.
Yeah.
Let's be present. And it works so much better. I love it. It's something that I probably started, it'd be a bit over a year ago now. But Neil kind of knows now. It's just like, I'm like, what is that doing on the table? My brother does it too, surprisingly.
Yeah.
He's just like big no phones rule.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, I had an experience not long ago. Kat and Ryan took all the HIT staff out for an event in Noosa. And so we were on a boat for the day. And so the girls did that standard thing of like, oh, we've got to get the photos on the boat so everybody knows that we were here and we were having more fun than them. And so they did all the photos. And then I swear to God, for like an hour afterwards, I was the one person standing there listening to music, singing some drinks, having fun. And the rest of them were all in a semicircle, not communicating at all with each other. I think I took a video or a photo of it to... Yeah, I did. I took a photo and then I airdropped it to all of them of just themselves standing there looking on their phones while they were editing the photo and putting it up with the caption. And I was just like, guys, look at this beautiful day that we've got here. Let's turn the phones off and be together, you know?
How good. But that's even a work thing as well. You'd notice it at work, like at Smoko and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their phones.
Yep.
Yeah, I've even that at work, I've really changed my attitude towards that.
Yeah.
Like just...
Yeah.
let's have a chat. What's going on? Like that's what I'll do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I still fall into those old traps, and I'm still can be that antisocial person. Like I probably did it the other night when I was at my folks' place. You know, there's a lull in conversation, so you just whip out the phone and go, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think with work, that's a hit and miss because a lot of people don't enjoy their job. They probably don't enjoy who they're working with. So therefore it's like, I get on my phone to escape whatever's going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we sort of digressed a little bit into the social media topic a little bit, the digital age, which is what we're going to cover in other episodes. But yeah, on that note, like I gave a few tips there that I found useful for me. They may not work for other people, but there is so much information out there. And while it's important to be inspired by people who are working hard, like David Goggins is another one that people really love because he's just got that attitude of just get out there and crush it, get after it, which is amazing. But don't beat yourself up when you can't achieve that level because it takes a personality type to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
And vice versa, you know, like don't beat yourself up when you're not making these things. Just take a moment to realize and adjust and change.
Yeah.
Learn from it. It's not something to get depressed over. It's not something to, and then go like, oh, well, I didn't do it today, so I'm not going to bother anymore. It's just hopeless for me. You know, you got to stop and go, oh, wow, like I really didn't nail what I wanted to get done today because I didn't plan well enough or I didn't schedule. I didn't think about it and just go, have that moment, realize it, and then go, well, I can improve on that tomorrow.
I think setting smaller goals, smaller to-do lists, because once you get that feeling of ticking off things that you're doing, you get so stoked. It's like Tennille, for example, before she left for work today, she left me, I call them love letters, but they're to-do lists. And when she comes home and she just sees everything crossed off, like I feel like the man for a start. Like I got all this shit done.
Look, babe.
Check me out. But I feel good after I've done it.
Yeah.
And I think and that could be just that thing for yourself. Just pencil in everything and where it be something to do with work and then something to do with your lifestyle. And then I'm telling everyone to do this. Schedule in your sleep. Have time out and say, like, if you want to use it and play PlayStation. Things like that. Like, I think, honestly, schedule in that time.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I want to play PlayStation, but if you have an unknowing end time, you'll play it forever. It's like Netflix binging.
Yeah.
You just, like, you watch one episode and before you know it, you're there for 4 hours.
Yeah. And I think using those things as a reward tool as well, like I was talking about these process outcomes. So say you're a uni student or like even you're working full time, but you're doing a course on the side. So you go, all right, I want to study for an hour today. And you know that's enough to mentally fatigue you, but also to get what you want done. It's a good goal.
Yeah.
So you study for an hour and then your reward for that is an hour of PlayStation after it and set a timer on your phone, on your Apple Watch, whatever it might be. So you stick to that goal and you don't digress.
Definitely. And then I think in other ideas, if you can create a work lifestyle balance in one, maybe try doing a podcast with one of your best mates. Because that's technically work. I put this down as work, but also a lifestyle thing.
Yeah, this is social for us. This is us nurturing our friendship while also got a little side hustle going on.
But we'll have to schedule in some time to edit and post and things like that.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The train keeps rolling.
Another one, I think you spoke about this when you did Kurt's podcast, but I think I might have told you this or you just came across the information on your own coincidentally, because I remember writing this in a letter to Callan when he was in prison. I sent him a letter about all these key points that came from a Navy SEAL about effective life lessons, and number one is to make your bed every day.
Yeah, as you were about to say the verb thing. Yep.
Yeah.
I came across that on the internet.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we should actually find that. I'll find it and I'll put it on the What Do You Reckon podcast, because that speech, it changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's so beautifully simple. And great life lessons from it. But the number one is to make your bed every day. And they teach that in the military because it's one of those things where as soon as you get up in the morning, you make your bed straight away.
And that's a task done.
You've already completed a goal for the day.
Yeah.
And then the byproduct of that is when you get home at the end of the day, you could have had the worst day in the world. You're tired, you're fatigued, you just, completely died in the ass, and you come home to a well-made bed.
How good.
I think that's such a brilliant life lesson that everyone can take away.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you're listening to this, have a go at it for the next week. If you don't make your bed of a morning, just make your bed first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Before you go to work or whatever it is, and just you'll probably notice a difference when you come home.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I did. So.
Yeah. So that's homework, gang.
Yeah.
For this
unreal.
week.
What do you reckon?
Make your bed. Don't even listen to the other stuff.
Yeah. Winston, mate. Wait. Winston, when he licks his feet up, it's spring at the moment.
Oh,
So-
he's got little sensitive tooties.
He's got that, and I do too. Like, out of nowhere, we're going off topic here, but it's like 2 weeks ago, I started itching my eyes, and I was like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, spring. And it only happened 2 years ago when I'm like mowing the lawn, and I'm just starting to tear up.
Oh.
And I'm like itching my eyes, and Tina's like, what's wrong with you? I'm just like, I think I'm starting to get allergies.
Are
like,
you
from
a hay
spring.
fever guy now?
I am, out of nowhere. My dad
Wow.
has it,
Yeah.
and but I've just inherited it at around 30 years old.
It's really interesting how stuff like that can come out later in life.
Yeah.
Like, you just assume it's like, shouldn't I always have that?
Yeah. Nah.
Bizarre.
Anyway,
Very
so
bizarre.
that sucks. And yeah, Winston, like I guess I've passed it on to him. Sorry, mate.
Poor fella. All right. Well, I guess we'll
Wrap it
that
up there.
one
So round 3, work, lifestyle, balance, scheduling, do the thing. Unreal.
Yes.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And if you are listening from Australia, g'day. If you're listening from America, howdy. And if you're listening from...
Thailand, Kapkun Ka.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay. And if you're listening from Dubbo, oi. I don't know. It's the first place I thought of. All right.
All right. Thanks, gang.
And yeah, chat to you in round 4.